Greetings to all of our YouTube family who follows the Perry Stone YouTube channel. You know, for 45 years now, I have been actively involved in traveling in the United States and throughout parts of the world. I've been involved in ministry, in conferences, what the early days called revivals. Some of them would go on for 3, 4, 5, 7, 11 weeks every night. We have been involved with regional meetings, regional conferences, prophetic, Hebraic summits, etc. And during that 45 years of ministry, I have learned so many things, not only about history, going to Israel every year for probably 35 trips, not only learned about American history from our personal research library of over 25,000 books that we have right here in this particular facility, but I have also had some very unusual experiences. My father was a dreamer, just like you read about in Scripture about the young man Joseph, or how a Pharaoh would have a dream, or King Nebuchadnezzar would have a dream. And it would be a dream that would involve political things, events that would be national. My father many times had dreams in which he would be contacted by individuals in the government, and they would ask him the dream he had. Here's the reason they asked him: because he had a reputation of being so accurate that he could warn them of things that were about to happen, including planned terrorist attacks. Now, I'm not going to get on YouTube and talk about those things. Some of that's more of a private story for the family and close friends that knew my dad. But for those of you who have known us for years, and I do realize we have hundreds and even tens of thousands of YouTube followers who are new to us and don't know a lot about our past, being a fourth generation minister. I'll get it out here in a moment. Traveling for 45 years, written over 80 books, now global television outreach, etc. But they may not be aware of the times over the past, let's say, 30 years where we have experienced dreams that actually happened. One of the major ones, which made national news many years ago, was the dream of the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center that happened in 1996. It was actually a vision that I saw, the World Trade Center shrouded in black with the great tornadoes coming off of it. And we won't go rehash that, but it come to pass 5 years later. Now, the reason I want to come to you, and I really wrestled about doing this because we do have a lot of people who've known us for 45 years that understand that when I say something like this, I'm very cautious, and I also take it very, very serious as a warning from the Heavenly Father. For several years now, I have had a series of tsunami dream warnings. Some of them are so real, it's as though I'm actually there while it's taking place. I have seen them where I would be standing on a beach warning people who were surfing. It looked a little bit like it was Hawaii, to be quite honest with you, and because of the way the mountains were shaped at the beach area, or the ocean area, I should say, the beach. And then all of a sudden, I would then see another scene where people were actually buried underneath the wave and underneath debris. And I remember waking up with my heart just pounding. We also had several of which we saw an East Coast tsunami, and one, or actually two now, of which we saw a West Coast tsunami. And so it's been a long time. I say a long time, I would say probably 10 to 12 months, and I may be wrong on that number, since I've actually had another occurrence. The other night, without warning, I was lying in the bed, went into a very deep sleep. I usually get up about 5 hours of sleeping and then try to go back to sleep another hour or two if possible for additional rest. And it was during that second phase that I was in a dream where I saw two people from the state of Virginia, and that's where they were from when I knew them years ago. And they were very young in this picture. They're my age now, but they were very young, like teenagers in the picture. And I knew who they were. I knew their names. And we were in an automobile, and we were parking the automobile, and I heard someone screaming. We're in the actual basement of a facility, a parking garage, in the lower part. And I heard someone say something, and I said, "Did they say tsunami?" And then I heard the roaring of the sea, and I could actually hear the water as it hit people, and people were screaming. And in the dream, I said, "Goodness, I've got to get to a higher level of this garage because this water will be pouring into this basement." Now, the odd thing was, I did not personally, for me, see the water come into the building, but I heard all the activity happening outside. And then there was a second follow-up of something very similar to that, in which there was another cry of a tsunami. This time the water was pouring into a city of some kind, a town or a city, and you could see it on the streets. The street, it comes in slow, and the next thing you know, it's a foot deep, it's 2 foot deep of water, etc. And then about, and this is different. I did not. Those two were tsunami warnings. This one happened about 2 months ago. I saw a man in this town that would have a heart attack. And when this heart attack happened, then I saw water pouring into an area where trucks were trying to cross a bridge, and the bridge was out. And I would call it maybe flood waters, but I saw a lot of vehicles, and I saw a boat with people in it and things like that. And that's irrelevant to this tsunami dream, but I'm saying that usually when I have a dream of something involving water, it can actually be a flood. I had those dreams of the flood before it hit Nashville and just devastated Nashville. Now, I don't know why that happens. I don't necessarily ask the Lord, please give me a dream or a vision. I have had about 6 visions in my lifetime, actual visions, a number of dreams, and many of them 3 months, 6 months, or a year later would actually come to pass in detail of the things that I saw. My father was always used with warning dreams. In other words, he would see warnings. And I used to say, Dad, can you have a good dream? He said, son, I don't understand it either, but the Lord always warns me of things to come. And Dad was just very prophetic. He didn't preach prophecy, but he was prophetic, and the Lord would show him things to come in people's lives. He would show them hidden things in people's lives that the enemy was attacking them, and they had to change, or they would come under a great trial. So the reason I'm saying that is I do believe that at some point, I don't know when, I don't have any word on this, even, and haven't spent the time in prayer to say, should I, because you have to be careful even talking about places, because then people who know the Lord can speak this way, sometimes will say, well, should I move? Should I go? And this is what I say to people. I say, we know that these things are going to happen because Jesus said the sea and the waves would be roaring and men's hearts would fail them for fear in Luke. And a tsunami produces an echo, and that's the Greek word there for roaring, an echo from the water. So we know any kind of earthquake in the ocean can produce it. We've already seen it with Japan. We've seen it with Indonesia. We've seen it with smaller ones that have taken place. So we know it's going to happen. So it's like a no-brainer, Perry Stone, this is going to happen. I know that. But at the same time, the ones that I have seen are very, very tall waves, very, very destructive waves. And so I do get under a burden for this. And so what I'm saying to those of you who are connected with us or connected as friends of our ministry or friends personally is we need to be in prayer. We need to ask God to show mercy to people in areas that live maybe on the coastal lines. We need to also ask the Lord to speak to people if they're supposed to be in that area, or if they're not. Here's the thing to do: if they're not supposed to be there and they're supposed to move to a different area, for whatever reason, that the Lord will open the door. That He'll open up an opportunity, a new job, a new opportunity, or a new place. But I did feel like I wanted to come and get this off my chest. It's been days, and I thought, I'm not going to say anything else about that. People have already heard me talk about that. But then I'm constrained in my spirit to share that with you, that we need to be in prayer. There's never been a time when men and women, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Baptist, Pentecostal, Charismatic, Assembly of God, Methodist, if you're a believer, if you're a true believer in a Messiah, Messianic Jewish believers, if you're a believer in the Messiah, you believe He's coming again, you believe it's Christ, He's going to return, then I believe it's very important that we stay very sensitive in prayer and that we follow the direction of the Lord. It's real funny because we see the town we're living in here in Tennessee. Tennessee is one of the most desirous states to live in now because of the tax breaks they give people and things like that. But it's interesting to see how many people are moving from cities and coastal areas into the real beautiful mountainous areas, the areas where there's, I want to say rural towns, but there's cities of 25,000, 50, 100,000 people, which are much smaller. People know each other, kind of watch each other's back a little bit better. So be in prayer about where you should be. Maybe that's something that you should pray about. If you have friends where you are and family where you are and you're at peace where you are, you should not even consider moving from where you are, because God has a plan for you in that area. So I wanted to share that with you, kind of get that off my chest a little bit, and us to be in prayer. And if you ever get a heavy burden to pray for an area, please do that, because you never know how your prayers could help people and even spare lives in those particular regions of the country. All right, well, subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of good things we're going to be sharing with you, some interesting things, some really powerful word studies, some historical parallels, prophetic parallels, just a lot of things that we're going to be sharing in the days ahead. Thank you for giving me your time to share this with you. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel, and never miss a video by clicking the bell to get the alerts when a new video is posted. This YouTube channel is made possible by your generous donations. So to support our outreach of teaching, visit perrystone.org/YT.